Welcome back. Our next guest is reckoned to be one of the hottest actresses working in Britain today. For that she has two things, well, apart from her talent, two things to thank. Number one, a one-woman show on the life and work of the wonderful Joyce Grenfell, and also commercials for British Telecom.
Harry, while we're on holiday, water plants, kitchen people still working, please keep an eye on them.
Well, there's no one here. Now this I call a kitchen.
This I call an arm and a leg.
Oh, it's exactly what we need. Oh, look.
What are you doing?
I'm giving them a ring.
You can't go round using other people's phones.
Oh, Harry, it's an 0800 number, see? It costs nothing to call. Hello.
Ah, yes, number 52, just completed. Of course, it's one of our deluxe models.
Ah!
Though naturally we design kitchens to suit all pockets.
What makes you think my pocket isn't deluxe? Now, what would it cost, then, to have this kind of kitchenette?
Kitchenette?
0800, a nice little number for business and for customers.
Very reasonable. Integral extractor hood. I probably wouldn't feel the need. Utility carousel. Now that I do like.
British Telecom. It's you you answer to.
Lovely commercial. Would you please welcome Maureen Lipman? Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you.
That's a very funny commercial and just one of a series, I'm told.
Yes, there's about 9 of them altogether, but it's a sort of series about a character called Beatty, naturally enough, the BT, and that's what I'm doing over here, actually. We're filming one now for the same company, but I'm playing my own Australian sister, Rose.
Right. Does British Telecom therefore feel that Australia is at the other end of the earth?
Well, certainly not. I think it's very nice of you to have laid on such lovely British weather for us, really.
Well, we're not too bad in Melbourne, but obviously in Sydney and,
yes,
of course, in Queensland, they're having their problems.
I believe so, yes. But I was in Melbourne last week, and it was pretty rainy, but it's a beautiful place. And we had the incredible honour of going on the Neighbours set, which, of course, to my children who were with me, 12 and 14, is the greatest accolade ever they could have thrust upon them. And they've been sort of brought up with actors all their lives, you know. They're totally unimpressed by the fact that their dad might have worked with Barbara Streisand or that I might have worked with Laurence Olivier or something, but Kylie Minogue in the hotel and my daughter was puce-coloured with joy. It's wonderful.
That's wonderful. Of course, it's huge back there in England, isn't it, Neighbours?
It's enormous. It's just about the biggest show there is.
Maureen, have you actually worked with Sir Laurence Olivier?
I have, yes. I'm deeply honoured to say. Yes, well, I was in the Old Vic Company in 1970 to 73 for I would say I've been acting for sort of 10 years, probably the happiest time of my life. Really because I was understudying and doing all sorts of menial tasks, but I was also playing and rehearsing and I just had I learnt my trade at the Old Vic, actually. I was thrilled by it. And then later on I went to the Royal Shakespeare Company and I was not so happy. It's a very different atmosphere. It was right at the end of Sir Lawrence's reign at the Old Vic, and you know, it was a great time to be there. Maggie Smith and Robert Stevens, and you could just sit there and watch and learn.
Maureen, particularly, I'd like to talk about your one-woman show on Joyce Grenfell. I was lucky enough to meet her. Actually, I had afternoon tea with Joyce Grenfell in London some years ago, and it was just like being in a British movie, because what you saw was exactly what Miss Grenfell was all about.
I believe so. I never ever met her because I didn't live in London, and I felt a bit of a cheek, really, going on and doing her work. But I'm not doing a takeoff of Joyce Grenfell. I'm telling the story of her life, which actually was a fabulously interesting life in a sort of very miniature way. You know, as certain reporters would ask me, you know, was there any more? Were there any tug-of-love babies? Were there any sort of scandals? No, there was nothing, you know. It was a beautifully fulfilled life on a small palette. She was a very spiritual person, a great observer, a very, very funny woman, and loved by thousands. I was quite nervous about opening the show in London, but we were a really hot ticket, and you couldn't get in because one forgot that she was so beloved, really, by the British people. And here, I mean, she toured here 5 times, I think. What was she like when you met her then? Just,
well, she was. Well, I was overawed, of course,
Yes.
completely overawed. But just
Yes.
to meet her, I mean, I expected, as is the case so often, that you're going to meet someone off stage, and there are going to be remnants of
different.
what you've seen on stage, but not sometimes a hell of a
Yeah.
lot. But with Joy, she was a naturally funny woman, as no doubt you've discovered.
Yes. But
She didn't always understand why she was funny.
No, she was a great observer. She would she would go to work, unlike myself, who drives myself in madly every night. She would go to work on the 49 bus and she would listen for snippets. And she was constantly doing a journalist job as well as an actress job. And so she would hear somebody say, "Clive, don't do that. You get your fingers all sticky. Wipe them on the seat in front." And, you know, all these wonderful overhearings that happened to her. Well, of course, you know, I'm a bit the same. As a wonderful one I overheard the other day, which was a northern lady saying 10 minutes of this rain would do more good in half an hour than a fortnight's ordinary rain would do in a month. If you can work that one out.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Will you bring that show to Australia, Maureen?
Well, that is the big hope. I'm seeing some people today. I'm looking at theatres. Of course, your theatres here tend to be very big or quite small, and so one's really got to see. Obviously, I couldn't fill a big theatre because they don't know me here, but one would hope that there's enough Joyce fans to fill a small, intimate theatre, and it should be intimate. We've played at the Fortune in London, which is where she did her show, Joyce Grenfell Requests the Pleasure. So there's that wonderful frisson that ran through the house when, you know, when we said she opened at the Fortune Theatre. So it's finding a theatre that has that kind of atmosphere. And also, you know, the right, I have a producer, but it needs thinking out carefully. We've had an offer to come here, and we've had an offer to go to New York. And really, I think it's finding out what's best, and then tearing oneself away from one's son's bar mitzvah, which is this year.
Right. Well, I hope it's Australia you choose. Good luck with the meeting this afternoon, and also good luck with the commercials. And
Thank
we look
you,
forward to
Bert.
seeing that show in Australia soon.
Thank you. It's very nice of you to have me on the show.
All the best. Maureen Lipman in our Sydney studios, ladies and gentlemen.